Eminent domain taking your property for the greater good. Imagine this. You're living your best life, minding your own business, when the government comes knocking. They tell you they need your property. It could be for a new highway, a school, or maybe even a park. The reasons can vary, but the impact on your life is undeniable. This, my friends, is called eminent domain. It's a legal process that allows the government to take private property for public use. The government has the power to take private property for public use. This power is granted by the Constitution. It's right there in the Fifth Amendment. The clause states that private property cannot be taken for public use without just compensation. But there's a catch. They have to provide just compensation in return. Sounds simple enough, right? Just compensation means the government must pay you a fair market value for your property. Well, as with most things government-related, it can get complicated. Determining what is fair market value can be a contentious process, because what exactly is just compensation, and who gets to decide? Often this involves appraisers, lawyers, and sometimes even the courts. Buckle up, folks, because we're about to dive headfirst into the wacky world of eminent domain. We'll explore the legal battles, the emotional toll, and the financial implications of this powerful government tool. Just compensation, not so just when it's late. So, the government has decided your property is essential for the public good. They need it for a new highway, a school, or some other public works project. They've slapped a price tag on it, and you might be thinking, sweet, time to buy that yacht I've always wanted. Or maybe a luxury vacation, or even a new car. But hold your horses, amigo. It's not as simple as cashing a check and sailing into the sunset. Just compensation is supposed to cover not just the fair market value of your property, but also any additional losses you might incur due to the forced move. Think moving expenses, lost business income, and even the cost of finding a new place to live. And let's not forget the emotional distress of being uprooted from your home sweet home, the place where you've built memories, raised your family, and invested your time and money. And here's the kicker. Sometimes the government drags its feet when it comes to paying up. You might find yourself waiting weeks, months, or even longer for that compensation to come through. This delay can have a real impact on your life, especially if you're relying on that compensation to relocate or rebuild. It can mean living in temporary housing, dealing with financial stress, and putting your life on hold while you wait for the government to make good on its promise. The clock is ticking interest on delayed payments. Remember that whole just compensation thing? Well, it turns out justice delayed is justice denied, especially when it comes to your hard-earned cash. When the government takes its sweet time paying you what they owe, you're missing out on potential investment opportunities. That's money you could be making, folks. The good news is that you're entitled to interest on those delayed payments. Think of it as a late fee for the government. It's not about getting rich, it's about making you whole for the time you've been left hanging. Section 4. Beyond the bottom line. Recovering additional expenses. Let's say the government finally coughs up the money for your property. You're free. But wait, what about all those extra expenses you racked up while waiting for your check to clear? We're talking mortgage payments, property taxes, maybe even maintenance costs. Those bills don't just disappear because the government is involved. The good news is that you can seek additional compensation for these expenses. It's all about proving that these costs were directly related to the delay in receiving your just compensation. Keep those receipts handy, people. Section 5. Lawyering up when to call in the big guns. Let's face it, dealing with the government is rarely a walk in the park. They've got lawyers, paperwork, and a whole lot of red tape. Trying to navigate this system on your own can feel like David battling Goliath. That's where a good lawyer comes in. Think of a lawyer as your legal spirit guide, guiding you through the treacherous terrain of eminent domain law. They can help you understand your rights, negotiate with the government, and fight for every penny you deserve. Section 6. Case in Point Divine v. Town of Nantucket. Now let's talk about a real-life example of how this whole eminent domain thing plays out in court. It's a fascinating case that really brings the concept to life. Back in the year 2000, the town of Nantucket decided they needed a piece of land for public use. This land was owned by a group of people, including a fella named Anthony Devine. The town had big plans for this land, but they had to go through the proper legal channels to acquire it. The town offered what they considered just compensation for the land, but Devine and his group weren't satisfied with the offer. They felt that the amount proposed by the town didn't reflect the true market value of the property, especially given its prime location, and potential for future development. So, they decided to take the town to court. Their argument was that the offered price was far below what the land was actually worth. They believed that the town was trying to shortchange them, and they were determined to fight for what they felt was fair compensation. After a lengthy legal battle, the court finally made its decision. And guess what? The court agreed with Devine and his group. The judge ruled that the town's offer did not reflect the true value of the land and ordered the town to pay a higher amount. Devine v. Town of Nantucket became a landmark case in the realm of eminent domain law. It highlighted the importance of fair compensation and reinforced the rights of property owners when their land is taken for public use. This case serves as a crucial reminder that property owners have the right to challenge and negotiate the compensation offered to them. Section 7. Empowering property owners, know your rights, fight for your worth. So, what have we learned today? Eminent domain is a powerful tool, but it's not a license for the government to steamroll over property owners. You have rights, folks. First and foremost, you have the right to just compensation. And that includes not only the fair market value of your property, but also any additional losses you might suffer. Secondly, you're entitled to interest on delayed payments. Don't let the government off the hook for dragging their feet. Third, remember those pesky additional expenses? You can seek reimbursement for those too. And finally, don't be afraid to lawyer up. A good lawyer can be your best ally in this fight.